Big shout out to Arnold C. Already in the chat. I'll be live shortly, y'all. Everybody, what's going on? It is a whopping currently 92 freaking degrees here. It is scorching hot. Everyone's hot, everyone's overheated. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, and or good evening to all of you out there. It is Friday, y'all. You know what it means when it's Friday, right?
It's Friday, gotta get down on Friday.
Let's go, Friday! What's up, y'all? It is indeed Friday. It is indeed very hot. It sucks. Got the AC on full blast. Trying my best to keep cool and hydrated. But it is at least Friday. I hope all of you had a wonderful week so far. Going into this great weekend, I am now also officially live on the shorts. On the little tiny shorts, the little video that's a little vertical and it's a little tiny. Good for your cell phone viewing. You could do it. You could walk around with your cell phone and say, "Oh, look at this guy. He's on the YouTube and he's talking and I don't know what he's saying, but he looked kind of cool, so I'm gonna watch him." That. I don't know where my mind is at today. Apologies for being a little later than scheduled because, of course, as always, there's going to be some technical issues and my audio wasn't working, my mic wasn't working, my streaming software wasn't working, so nothing was working. So I had some time to adjust it and all that. Again, what's up, Arnold? Happy Friday to you. Hope you're having a good evening. Why Justin Timberlake? Well, I don't know if you knew the story, but a couple of days ago, here in New York, specifically in Long Island, Mr. JT over here got arrested for DWI and then some. So he is like the big news item of the week here in New York because it happened in New York. And there are lawsuits and things about maybe his world tour getting affected. The person who, or the police officer who arrested him, didn't know who he was. And then when they searched his car, they found a whole bunch of other stuff in there. So, not looking good for your boy JT and the hizzy. But I thought that was like a funny thing. So, what happens as often was whenever someone gets arrested and they get their mugshot taken, it usually is posted on the police's website, the county's website, or whatever like that. So, this is actually Justin Timberlake's actual mugshot taken when he was arrested, released by the Sag Harbor Police Department. So yeah, quite a week indeed. How's my day? It's still early to say how my day was. It is 12:31 p.m. I've been awake now for 3 hours, and yeah, it's hot. I'll say that it's hot. But we're all dealing with it, and that's why summer is such a great time to go to the movies, especially when you're in a place where summer can be extremely brutal, like here in New York. You know, with the humidity and the heat. It's also very good, the fact that you know, if you could go out for a little bit, you save on your electricity bill too, because summertime those electricity bills can really get up there, especially with the AC on and all. So it was a nice thing to be actually in the theaters yesterday, watching the two movies that I'm going to be talking about today, and getting some much well-deserved reprieve from the heat. And my wallet's probably thanking me too for taking a break from using the electricity at home. Yeah, it's easy to forget about the time difference, you know. But it's all good. I mean, I'll say this: at least I have a full day ahead of me. I should be asking you, how was your day, since you pretty much had close to a full day over there, where you're at. I hope you had a good day. What are the plans for the weekends, everybody? Let me know in the chat. Let me know what everyone's doing this weekend. How are you relaxing? How are you maxing on that relaxing? And how are you doing all that other good stuff? Oh man, I am loopy. I'm loony and loopy today. Let's go. That sounded really loud. I hope that didn't sound too loud, you know, watching on stream. But that explosion sounded much louder than normal for me. Arnold's excited for the next House of the Dragon episode that's coming out this Sunday. I am too, honestly. It's nice that we're back to the must-watch TV events for the summer, right? We have that going on. For a lot of people, it's The Boys. For some, it's The Acolyte. Not according to the poll that I posted on my YouTube channel recently. Let's look at that real quick, because I find that to be extremely hilarious. And it kind of shows you the difference, how an episode or two will make a major, major difference. So I'm going to first scroll back. Let's see here. What was the first time I asked this question? So let's see. Here we go. All right. So 2 weeks ago, when Star Wars The Acolyte was still kind of fresh and new, right? I had a poll on my channel, and I basically asked, what were your thoughts on Acolyte's episodes 1 and 2? 27 votes. 67% said yay. 33% said nay, right? So that was 2 weeks ago. Pretty good overall. Arnold's changing the view. He's hopping over to vertical Well, that's good because it's actually good to know that. That's why I it justifies the fact of me having two streams in different formats because it's all based on preference, right? I know some people don't like the vertical view. I also know some people prefer that. So I'm glad I could prefer options that will please both sides. You know, so that's good. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know that you prefer it that way. Um so 2 weeks later, this week, I asked a question again. We're 4 episodes in and halfway through the season of the Acolyte. What are your thoughts so far? And look how the tables have turned. 38 votes this time. Only 26% people say I like it. 74% says, what a hot mess. So, it's funny how things can change week after week, especially with such a major show as the Acolyte. And I thought that was extremely interesting to find out. You know, when you know, and I asked the poll, I do those polls and I ask those questions because one, I also want to know what else are people thinking about the series so far outside of our conversations here every week. But for me, it helps figure out, well, should I still keep talking about the Acolyte if no one's really interested? And the answer to that is, yeah, I am going to keep talking about the Acolyte because I think it creates great conversation. Great conversation because I'm still being entertained by the show, even though there are some things that, you know, I kind of question about it and all, but I'm in it for the ride because I would love to see, okay, how are they going to explain all of this stuff moving forward, right? What's going to be revealed? You know, and I think a lot of people are just a little thrown off. There's backlash now because of Mundi showing up, you know, debunking the whole thing about his age. I mean, that's a little ridiculous. You know, it's like everyone will find something to complain about. What's going on, Scorch? Nice to see you here. Hope you had a great week so far. Hope you're having a great day. Just thinking about me. I hope you're thinking good things. But the episode was better than than Madam Web. Yeah. I said this in my review of Madam Web when I first saw it, and I'll keep saying this. There's something brilliant about that movie because watching that movie, it transported me back to a time, late 90s, early 2000s, when that type of action film really, really was the norm. And we accepted it and we enjoyed it and we loved it. And if that was done on purpose, then that is brilliant. If it was done by accident, then I don't know what the hell's going on over there. So I will say that. I'm not saying it's a great movie at all. I'm just saying it felt like all of those same similar type of action, superhero type of movies from the late 90s, early 2000s. So, yeah. I will say that at least. I found myself entertained by it because it was so stupid. You know when you watch something that's like so stupid, but yet you still are entertained by it? That's basically what's happening. That's basically what's happening. Have I ever had chicharron? Of course I have. You know, I'm New York. I grew up in New York. Chicharron is like one of the go-tos when you go to the local bodega. You have your pork rinds, as Americans call it, but chicharron is yummy. Scorch saying they bought a cycle after a decade. That's awesome. Are you planning to start riding a lot now? Arnold, chicharron is like a pork grind. I don't know if you ever heard of pork grinds. Think of it like the fatty part of pork with the fat layer on top and a little bit of like the pork meat, but it's like super dehydrated and very crunchy. So think of it like that. It's like a snack usually you'll have. You'll find it like a local convenience store that sells like international foods. Can't wait for it to arrive. Amanda, fam, just go down to the shops. Oh, okay. So just something easier for you to go back and forth to go like grocery shopping and stuff like that. Well, that's good. At least still by doing that, you're getting some great exercise. You know, one of the downsides of me growing up in a city, I say it like that because Queens sometimes isn't isn't like kind of considered a city, not like Manhattan. But with the conveniences of a lot of the transportation we have, we don't think of riding bikes often. Not now. Now there are a lot of people who do, but growing up, when I was growing up, bike riding wasn't like a big thing. And honestly, I don't even know how to ride one because I had two working parents. No one's ever taken the time to teach me how to ride a bicycle. I always wanted to learn. I have a friend who tried to teach me one day. So I learned how to balance. At the very least, I know how to balance myself. And then when I was visiting my brother in Hawaii, he has a very wide open street in his neighborhood. And he tried teaching me to ride a bike then too. So I can say I know how to balance and pedal, but I don't know how to turn. That's my only thing. I'm very, very wary when it comes to turning. So that is the extent of my cycling abilities. But one day. Oh, I believe it, Scorched. I believe it. I totally believe it. I have a lot of friends who like to bike. One of my very good friends that I meet up with every now and then, at least once a month maybe. He bikes everywhere. And he lives in the city. So sometimes he'll make it out to Queens just to hang out with me. And then he'll just bike all the way back to his place in the city. So yeah, I believe it. Arnold saying we have in Romania with us, it's called slanina. Is that how you pronounce it? Slanina? So is that like a similar kind of snack? Like a similar kind of chicharron snack? Slanina. Kind of like the sound of that. Slanina. Sounds like that could be someone's name. Hey, what's going on, Slanina? Nothing much. I'm cool. Maybe if I end up having a daughter one day, I'll call her Slanina. Like, wow, I could imagine the reaction of like Americans. It's like, oh my God, that's such an exotic name. That sounds so awesome. What does it mean? I don't know. Something in Romania. But we do have a lot of Romanians in New York, so I'm pretty sure if someone overhears it, like, oh, that poor kid. It's named after a pork rind. Scorcher YouTube app is bugged. Oh no. If you're on a phone, maybe it just needs to be updated. YouTube has, and I don't know. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like YouTube has been having a lot of issues this past week. Oh no, be careful to send some vampires after me. Uh-oh, I don't want that. When I pull up shorts in the sub feed, it's showing shorts from yesterday. That's not cool. Why is it doing that? But speaking of vampires, Arnold, one of the things that I definitely want to talk about, and another reason why I was really excited to check out the Bikeriders movie in theaters, which is one of the latest movies that came out this week, is that it's the only place as of right now where you could see the first full trailer for Robert Eggers' latest movie, Nosferatu. Nosferatu is a movie that I am so much looking forward to. It's like one of my anticipated movies of the year. If you don't know, Nosferatu is pretty much the original story of Dracula, of the vampire, right? And Robert Eggers, if you're not familiar with him, he is the guy that directed the Witch or The Witch. A24 is one of A24's classic movies. He's also most recently did The Northman, which I think is one of the greatest things that he's done. I think that may be one of his best movies. If you haven't watched it, you need to, especially if you like Norse storylines. Really great, well done movie. So he apparently has been doing this stage play called Nosferatu, or he wrote a stage play, and now he's turning that into a full-length movie. So I cannot wait to check it out. And the trailer just got me super excited because, like I said, if you're familiar with The Northman or The Witch, it has the very much that same style that he's known for. It looks very mysterious, creepy, very creepy. Willem Dafoe's in it. He's not playing Nosferatu. He's playing, I believe, kind of the guy who encounters and sees this creature for the first time and studies Nosferatu, I believe. But it also has very much that Francis Ford Coppola Dracula type of style when it comes to the filmmaking and kind of the cinematography and some of the visual effects that you see. Like there's this one shot in the trailer where you see the entire city and then you just see a shadow of a hand like going across the city as if his reach is extending further and further in. So it just looks amazing. It looks amazing. I honestly cannot wait for this movie. Let's see. Strigio. What's Strigio? What is that? To look, I think it's important how many tourists go to Romania for vampires. Oh, I'm sure there's a ton, right? The corridor guys hate on the Northmen. You're not a fan of The Witch? Well, The Witch is, I can understand like the why people won't like that movie. It is pretty strange. But I love the fact because I like that movie a lot because it's very creepy. You know, and you go through this weird, it's almost like you're watching a weird dream. Like a really weird dream, you know, and you know, that's the first time I ever saw Anya Taylor-Joy act. And yeah, look how she's blown up ever since that movie. Nosferatu, you're hyped for? Yeah, I mean, look, just the trailer alone got me excited. And I thought the movie looks like it's going to be really good. I also find it very, very fascinating that's coming out in December. You know, during the holidays. Like, what an anti-holiday movie that is. You know, but I think that it's like kind of like an interesting move on his part. Arnold's favorite witch film is Hocus Pocus. You know, I've never seen that movie. I know it's kind of blasphemy. It's like one of those classic movies, but I've never seen it. That's why when the sequel came out, I was just like, okay, that's cool. That's good for people who were fans of the original, but I've never seen it. I don't know why I never saw that movie. I think it came out during a time when, let's see, when did Hocus Pocus come out? Hocus Pocus. The first Hocus Pocus came out in 1993. Now, what was I doing? Oh, 93, I was in high school. And I think that was a time when my taste in movies have changed. So I went away from like this type of movie to really start watching, I guess, more serious film for a brief moment, you know? So yeah, it's just something that it just flew past me and I just never saw it. So I don't know. I should sit down and watch it, give it a chance. So Scorch has never seen it either. Roald Dahl's has a witch movie? I didn't know that. Arnold saying 93 he was in his father's you know what.
I'm gonna come.
Reminding me of how old I am, so thank you. All right, Roald Dahl witches. Let's see. Oh, it's a book. Did they turn this into some sort of film? Oh, here it is. In 2020, they did. In 2020, Roald Dahl's Witches, starring, is that Anne Hathaway? That looks like that's Anne Hathaway. Hold on, let me see. Not the new one. The classic. So they did a movie originally based off of his book. Do you remember what year it came out? It's an honor for you to remind me of my age. Thank you. I appreciate it. Have I seen Halloween Town? Which one is that one? Halloween Town. Oh, 1998. Disney Channel movie. So here's something to know about me. I didn't grow up watching the Disney Channel. So I know you get to find out interesting things about people, how they grew up, right? And what they watched when they were kids. So I know a lot of people were Disney Channel people, right? And there are a lot of people who are like Nickelodeon people. I was more of a Nickelodeon kid growing up. So there was a lot of stuff that happened on the Disney Channel. I know there's a ton of Disney Channel movies and shows that a lot of people love when they watched it growing up. I'm not one of them. I grew up watching a lot of Nickelodeon. Like that was like my channel growing up. That and of course network television, you know. So there's a lot of Nickelodeon, there's a lot of like Disney Channel movies that I have never seen. The Craft is great. That's another great movie I like. Yeah, The Craft is definitely like one of those like unique movies. I like that one. Firuza Balk. Yeah. Yeah, what is she doing now? I feel like she's had her moment and then that was it, right? Because I remember the last time I remember her in anything was in The Waterboy. Let's see. I don't think she's done anything recently. She was in a movie called August Falls in 2017. Unless she does a lot of TV now. Maybe she does TV. Yeah, it looks like she's done a lot of TV. What's going on, Thor? Arnold. Oh, wow. So Tom and Jerry was definitely one of my favorites growing up too. Like that was like one of my all-time favorite cartoons growing up. But then you go from that and then to Hannah Montana. So with me, I guess the equivalent would be going to Tom and Jerry. From Tom and Jerry, I went to I guess Clarissa Explains It All or Double Dare, right? Legends of the Hidden Temple, Guts. I love all that Nickelodeon stuff. Tom and Jerry's kind of trite. I don't know. There's a lot of things that we kind of we it's so funny because there were so many cartoons back then, especially like in the 80s, where it involved a lot of crazy violence, right? When you think about it, when you just really boil it down, Tom and Jerry was a cartoon basically about two people trying to kill each other, right? Or at least one trying to kill the other, and the other one just trying to escape. And I guess that led to great comedy back in the day because we had a lot of like different cartoons like that. Yakari. What's Yakari? And I do agree. Miley is very very good looking. She is pretty hot, even though a lot of people like kind of dismiss her because she's a little wacky, outspoken. She's very free, but I find her very attractive and talented. Let's not forget, she's still a great singer too. It's about a little Indian who can talk to animals. Okay, I gotta look this up. Let me see. Yakari, it's called? Yakari. Oh, that's kind of cool. A Tom and Jerry flash game, where you just set up traps. That's awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, Thor was edging.
I'm gonna come.
I guess it's true what they say. Sharing is indeed caring. Okay, Yakari is it's a it's a Franco-Belgian comic book series. So I could see the comic book. Did they make a cartoon out of this? They did. Huh. Yeah, it definitely looks like something straight out of like the era where comic strips were big, like Asterix. Again, here in the States, we knew nothing about Asterix, but I know that was really big in Europe. That's awesome. My comedic timing is good. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Thor keeps busting. News at 11.
I'm gonna come.
How about you thank them, Nichols? You blew it!
Which begs the question, Thor is currently edging and busting while watching me. So, should I be flattered or concerned? You let me know. By the way, today is indeed a full moon. So that also helps explain a lot of things. Hold on, I'm looking up this thing here. All right, Thor, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's getting kind of weird now. So I think the initial joke was funny, but it's already getting tired. So just letting you know. Arnold, what is the children's series in America that everyone knows? I guess like the overall general children's series that a lot of people know, for the most part, I would probably say Peanuts, like Snoopy. I think that's like most beloved for a lot of people here, especially growing up here in the States. Other things, it's very generational, you know. So I feel like most kids, depending on when they grew up and all that, that kind of carries and goes over generations. You have Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers, I think Barney at a certain time, Teletubbies at a certain time, right? You know, there are a lot of children's shows that I remember watching when I was a kid that younger generations don't even know anymore. You know, I just recently saw on Facebook, a friend of mine reminded me about one of them. But yeah, I do also agree with Scorch. Simpsons is probably one of the ones that has transcended generations because it's been around for just forever at this point. South Park, if you definitely grew up in the 90s, was huge for you. Beavis and Butthead's another one. Family Guy, I think, also is a certain generation. Like, I was more of a Family Guy guy, than Simpsons, because I felt Simpsons kind of got old after a while. I don't even know anything about The Simpsons today. And I know a lot of my friends still watch South Park today. I don't. Ben 10. Ben 10 was a very popular series for a certain generation. So yeah. So again, it really depends on generations, right? Who you talk to. But I think for the most part, yeah, I do agree. If there was one that kind of transcended generations, The Simpsons would be it for now. But if you're looking at like one thing that most generations probably watched at a certain point in their life, you have Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers. Like those are the ones that most, like I could talk to someone who's 20 years old today and we would all agree, yeah, we watched Sesame Street at one point growing up. Yeah. By the way, Scorch, you're not lying. I am looking at this recent W magazine cover and wowzer. I will say that. Wowzer. The Muppets is timeless, but I feel like younger generations don't appreciate the Muppets. Yeah. Like I love the Muppets. Anything Muppet related, I love watching. But I do feel like younger kids cannot, they no longer relate to the Muppets at all. Nobody told you that the butter cakes from iCarly really exist in America? Are there special kind of butter cakes? Yeah, of course you knew. Yeah, I had to. I was curious. I'm a curious individual, all right? Thor, are you bored? Do you have nothing else? What are you trying to say? What do you want? You got my attention now. Arthur is the only adult cartoon you like. Thor, Thor, Thor is this close to getting banned. Because at this point, you're not really contributing to the conversation. Oh no! Don't ask him that. You may not want to know. All right. Thor, we all know if that was true, then you should be in the Guinness Book of World Records. Plus, I feel sorry for you because walking must be a bitch for you. I don't want to know, but I have a feeling you're going to tell me. So, or you're going to tell us. So have at it. Oh, Scorch, you went through the channel? Okay. Did you see anything interesting? I hope you did. I hope you found a lot of stuff interesting. Oh, I think I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. Thor is John Dillerman, everybody. He has a 6-footer that he cannot control, and he is just, it has taken over. And it is sentient. And I believe it's the 6-footer that's currently typing in the chat right now. Because now it's just making no sense. But we also know that it likes cheese pizza.
I'm gonna come.
Yeah!
Arnold, that's so nice of you to say. Thank you so much. Very, very kind of you. I really, really, truly appreciate it. Scorch also, very kind words. All right, Thor, you have earned yourself the official ban hammer. Everyone say goodbye to Thor. Bye, Thor. Yeah. Thor, go back to Asgard. Sit down. Meet your mom. Have a talk. Relax. And then enjoy a smoothie. Smoothie will make things much better. Who's Mr. H in Midnight's Edge? Oh, the cheesesteak. Oh, damn it. How could I forget the cheesesteak? Oh, that should always be in the conversation. Sit down, talk to your mom, relax, eat a cheesesteak, drink a smoothie. There you go. That should be the course, the series of events. It'll make you humble. It'll make you nice and humble. Oh yeah, they do? I may have to check them out. Here's the funny thing about me. And I don't know if you can relate to what I'm about to say. So yes, I have a YouTube channel, right? I do a podcast on occasion. We haven't uploaded a new episode recently just because of scheduling. My thing that I've always said I would never do is I would try my best not to watch so many other YouTubers or listen to a lot of people's podcasts, because I don't ever want to find myself borrowing from what they do. I don't want to find myself copying what other people do. And I feel like it's very easy for somebody to watch so many YouTube channels or listen to so many podcasts that what they do for themselves ends up becoming almost like a mirror to all of those things, because it's kind of a natural flow, right? So there's only like really one or two main YouTubers that I watch on YouTube, you know, because I do like their sarcasm and I like kind of their comedy and all that. And I don't listen to any podcasts at all. Because knowing that I am a creator myself, I want to try to be just me, genuine. And not saying that I wouldn't be genuine if I was watching all those people on YouTube or if I was listening to so many things, but I just don't ever want to be tempted to see something that's like, you know what, I like that. Let me incorporate that here. Or, ooh, I like the way they did that. What if I try to incorporate that here? And I kind of just want to do it on my own, you know, and progress naturally. So that's just how I am. So when I hear about these people, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I may check them out, you know, so. Arnold, is that true? Are you having like a big, like pig roast? That sounds awesome. Very awesome. Sam Hyde also does that, doesn't consume much sketch comedy because he doesn't want to steal it. Right. Yeah, especially I could imagine comedy too, because I feel like nowadays there's so many people going around and being accused of stealing material. It's inevitable. If you keep watching things, you're eventually going to borrow something from somebody. It's like music too. If you listen to so much music and you're a creator yourself, one of these days you're going to end up doing a guitar riff or something that sounds very similar to somebody else. And then you're going to get accused and all that stuff. And I just kind of want to avoid that. Who do I watch? So the main YouTube channels that I watch is Red Cow Entertainment or Red Cow Arcade. Like, I like those two guys. And I also watch, who's that? Christian Harloff. He used to be the Schmoes Know. One of the reasons why I watched those guys is because I was a big fan of the Movie Trivia Schmoedown. I don't know if you guys ever watched that, but me being such a big movie guy that I am, and I love trivia, they used to do like a weekly movie trivia show. But think of movie trivia, but with the theatrics of wrestling, of like WWE. And that was their show. So everyone kind of had a character, a persona. They even had entrances. And it was a lot of fun. And they did a really good job with it. you know, and then unfortunately they had to close it up because the pandemic hurt things, because everything was done in studio, and having the transition to do it online, it lost a lot of the charm. So yeah, so those are like the few that I watch. And of course there's some channels that I watch that they don't really do shows, but they do like episodes, like Secret Galaxy, you know, because he does a lot of like short recaps and documentaries on classic 80s cartoons or movies. You know, Watcher Entertainment I used to like, and then I don't know what's going on with them recently. Ever since they did the whole, we're going to do our own streaming platform and get off YouTube, which I thought was bullshit. And then they kind of backtracked literally 2 days after they made that announcement because they saw so many people unsubscribe. So I don't know what they're doing nowadays. I've been meaning to kind of look back into their channel just to see how if they were able to recover from that. But yeah, it's an interesting world out there. Arnold, that's another nice thing of you to say. And that's kind of like, I like to have that vibe, you know, where I feel like if you're going to come and chill with me, let's just relax. Let's just have a conversation about things we like, things we don't like, you know. Yes, I will cover topics and I'll review movies, which I'm going to do in a little bit, talk about the Bikeriders and Thelma, you know, but nothing to be stressed out about here. It's like a bunch of friends just hanging out. Oh, you have a self-made smoker? Wow, dude. You should post some of that stuff on your Instagram. I would love to see your setup. Tell it animated? No, I don't know that. Costume changes and so on. Oh, that's interesting. I may have to check that out. That sounds very talented too. You know, it's one thing I wish I knew how to do. I wish I knew how to draw, because in my mind, I have a lot of stories I love to talk about, but I'm thinking how much funnier or better it would be if I could tell those stories, but through animation, you know, just to give like a visualization of things. By the way, if you're watching here live, and I'm so bad at this stuff, please don't forget, hit that like button. I would greatly appreciate it. Oh, Scorch, you're an artist? Oh, that's great. What do you do? Do you draw, paint? I think one of the, if I grew up in a different time, like in a different life, I think one of the jobs I would have loved to have is a cell animator. You know, like be one of those guys that worked for like Warner Brothers or Disney to do like the coloring of the cell animations. I always find that stuff to be so interesting and so fascinating. There are two things I wish I could do. If I could go back in time and rethink of what I want to do with myself. I know that sounds kind of funny, what I want to do with myself. But I would love to either become like a cell animator or drawer or colorer, or the only thing I would ever really want to do in the movie business, in the industry, is I want to be a trailer editor. I want to put together movie trailers and edit trailers. That's what I would love to do, because there's something about editing, especially like 2-minute long content, that you could tell such an interesting story. And I just love movie trailers in general, so I think that would have been like a perfect match for me. What do I do? So when I'm not doing this, I am a freelance project manager. But formerly, I used to work in advertising. And then formerly before that, I used to work in the video game industry. And then formerly before that, I have had so many jobs. I'm a journeyman. Oh, both of your parents were in advertising? Oh, that's cool. The one funny thing about advertising is that once we meet other people who were in advertising, we know exactly what everyone has gone through. We more than likely know a lot of the same companies. We probably work with similar companies, but we know the same type of challenges and hurdles and struggles. It's so funny. And it doesn't matter if it's print versus online, if it's print versus digital, because there's a lot of similarities between the two. So it's kind of like whenever I come across other people who used to work in advertising or who still do, it's all of a sudden becomes like a therapy session. It's like, oh God, remember this, remember that. Oh, who remembers working with this company? Oh my gosh, you know. It's such a funny thing. And it's global too, because I remember at one point I was looking into maybe working in advertising in Japan, because one thing I learned was that the digital advertising in Japan is behind America. So they don't realize or know how to do so many things. But I'm talking about, this is like maybe 6 or 7 years ago. So I went there and I had some friends introduce me to people who worked for Google in Japan and worked for other advertising companies in Japan. And we're sitting down and we're talking about how they handle certain things. And I could see like they're so far behind things. And I thought it would have been cool to try to catch these companies up with what we're doing in America. But the downside is you have to be fluent in Japanese, not just English. So that was one of the downsides. And I was not at that time. So I think that would have been kind of cool. Even if I did it just briefly. Because advertising in the long run sucks. It really, really sucked the life out of me. It got to the point where some of my friends who I still am friends with today that I used to work with, I would show up to work and they would tell me that I looked like shit. They'd be like, dude, you look horrible. I said, yeah, because I was like up all night working, worked through the weekend. Sometimes I would have to work through vacations. And it was just terrible. Terrible for your mental health. So I'm happy I'm out. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with what I'm doing now. I could do more, but for me right now, I'm good. Because I've said this before. I'm in the middle of some transitions, like life transitions right now. And the next 2 or 3 months is going to be very busy for me. So once all that is cleared away, then I'm hoping that I could definitely do more stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm just really happy to be here hanging out with all you guys. And, you know, people like Scorched and Arnold. I'm glad that you guys enjoy hanging out on these type of streams. And anyone else too. So. I mean, I know there are a lot of people who love, they love to lurk. And lurking's fine. Believe me, I know. I've done it. So even if you're not as vocal as everybody else is, I'm just glad for anyone who is finding this entertaining enough and interesting enough to chill. And share the passions that we have. Oh, Arnold sent me something. All right, let me check it real quick. Let's have some phone checking music, y'all. Wow. Arnold, this is... Whoa! This is amazing. Arnold, are you cool if I just show this real quick on the camera? As someone who is like a big time carnivore, I find this, especially since I'm part Filipino, this is the kind of parties we would have all the time. I mean, look at this. That looks amazing. I know the green screen effect is kind of sleeping in. But look at that. That is a full-on roast. That looks so good. And look at this setup. Look at that. You welded this all by yourself? God, this is making me super hungry right now. You can get a lot of chicharron from here. See what we did there? In comedy, that's what we call a callback. We circled back to a reference from before, and we make a joke about it. Oh, what's this? Look at that. You just happen to pop on. Look at that. You go on Facebook, Instagram, and we get new images from the set of James Gunn's Superman movie, where we see the Daily Planet. And because they're filming in Cleveland right now. Interesting. All right. Was at the junkyard and got some old oil canisters. Oh, that's amazing, man. See, that's creative. That's creativity right there. And that's like passion and dedication. So the channel I mentioned before, Red Cow Entertainment, one of the guys there, his name is EJ. He's a big time griller. So he does similar things like you, Arnold, where he would like create his own smokers and his own grills because he loves smoking and grilling meat. So sometimes he'll post videos about what he does on there. And sometimes he'll like review things. Like a viewer once sent him the worst rated grill on Amazon. They sent it to him to see if he could do something with it. And it was just a funny video because that thing, after what felt like 10 minutes, pretty much just started melting away. It's like this really crappy, cheap material kind of light grill. And he showed like, yeah, look at this. Like the fire's burning through the metal here. Really have to pay attention to the physics because of the smoke. Right. That's right. Yeah, there's a lot of math and science going into that stuff. It's an art form. And I don't have that sense personally. I don't. So I always appreciate those who do. Man, you're gonna have a great time tomorrow. It sounds like that's gonna be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Make sure to have some extra servings of that pig for me, for sure. For you Filipinos out there, you all know what I'm talking about. We love our pigs. That just sounds weird. We love our pigs. All right, let's get into talking about some of these movies. So for you guys watching, have you guys heard of the movies, The Bikeriders or Thelma? Oh, Arnold, I'm so bad at that stuff too. But it's funny how you could be bad at that stuff, but very good at other things that are related to that stuff, right? When it comes to math, I tell people all the time, that Asian part of me did not hit the math gene. Not at all, right? So I am just not that person. But I used to build computers. I know my way around a computer. I can do some very light programming and some light like web programming, and you need like to know at least some math with that stuff. But not I. I am not one of them. All right. So yeah, so Bikeriders. So here we go. Let's talk about Bikeriders. Um, so Bikeriders is a movie directed by Jeff Nichols, who I'm not so familiar with, but he has done movies that I am aware of from the past. That just sounds so weird to say that, but what I mean is that like the movies that he's directed, such as Mud, Loving, Midnight Special, like those are movies that I know of and I've heard of, but I've never watched them. But I know Mud was very popular. Matthew McConaughey's performance was very well known in that. Loving was a big movie when that came out at the time. Very, very interesting and nice love story there. That is also, I believe that was based off of a true life event that happened. One of the interesting thing about Jeff Nichols is that every movie that he's directed, he always casts Michael Shannon in it. Him and Michael Shannon have a really long-standing friendship, and he's kind of like the muse, right? So yes, Michael Shannon is in this movie. There's a lot of people in this movie here. You have Jodie Comer, Austin Butler, Tom Hardy, Michael Shannon, Mike Feist, Boyd Holbrook, Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead. I feel like poor Norman is very much typecast because of the big biker that he is. And the premise of the movie is this is based off of a book where the interviewer and the writer of the book, Danny Lyon, basically follows this motorcycle club in Chicago or in Illinois in the late 60s into the early 70s. And basically he was able to follow them, interview them, chronicle their activities. And within this period of time, he was able to see a huge change of how it first started to how it kind of became what it became to be in the 70s, right? And I felt like this movie had a lot of potential because I was a big Sons of Anarchy fan. I loved that show. That was a great show if you were into like motorcycle clubs and motorcycle gangs, and then that eventually spawned off into what is that show, the Mayans, right, which was like a rival motorcycle gang from the show. So I was always a big fan of that. Easy Rider is one of those movies where it's just like, okay, it's like a journey movie, right? You're following these two bikers across the United States. So what I was hoping, or at least somewhat expecting to see here, was something similar to like a Sons of Anarchy, a Mayans. And when the movie started, it had very much of that feeling. But then as the movie progressed, it turned into something completely different. And I feel like there was like a missed opportunity here. The main star of this movie is Jodie Comer. And you don't really realize that when you watch the trailers. But the entire movie is basically narrated and told through the lens of her. She's the main person that's being interviewed and is recounting all the stories about how she first came about the club, how she fell in love with Benny, who's played by Austin Butler, and basically the early beginnings to the eventual demise of this club, or at least the version of the club that she was used to. And I feel like this had a lot of potential to become more of like a Goodfellas, but with a motorcycle club, and they showed hints of it. They showed hints of, okay, Tom Hardy's Johnny is like the main guy. He's the one that calls the shots. Nothing's done without his say. He's the one that started the club. Club evolved, got all of these guys in it. Everyone has an interesting story. And you go through each main individual person. You learn about their background. You learn kind of what they're good at, where they fit in the club. So it's a nice, interesting kind of like follow when you go through all of those things. But then it gets cut off because we now cut to Jodie Comer talking to Mike Feist, who plays Danny, who's the interviewer, the guy who wrote the book. And we're in a room now where she's just talking about all the things. Instead of just going through the journey of the movie and watching all of these things happen, every little bit is shown briefly, and then we get interrupted because she's now talking. And, we're just listening to her explain a lot of things. So I felt like I didn't hate this movie. I didn't extremely like it. I feel like I'm just disappointed. This could have been something a lot more than it turned out to be. If he leaned more into a Goodfellas aspect of the entire club, of the movie itself, really, really honed in on the activities that these guys were doing, some of the shady stuff or questionable stuff they had to do, how the neighborhood really looked down on this group because they kind of didn't want this group around, but at the same time they had no choice. And what eventually happened, and again, this is all true life stuff, so this really happened in real life, how the old guard was basically pushed out of the club and taken over by the younger generation, the people who are coming back from Vietnam, who may be a little bit all over the place and a little bit questionable in their mindsets. They leaned more towards violence. They leaned more towards shadier activities. It went from what used to be like a social racing club to a full-fledged gang organization. And Johnny, spoiler alert, but again, this is true life stuff. Johnny, Tom Hardy's character, was eventually killed because he was challenged for leadership of the whole entire group. And the whole club was taken over by these young guys who, like I said, leaned more to violence, drugs, prostitution, like all that sort of activities. And they became what you would consider to be a motorcycle gang of today, right? Very much like your Sons of Anarchy or your Mayans or whatever. The origins were just very simplistic. I love motorcycles. I love working on motorcycles. I like racing motorcycles. Why don't we just form a group of people who love that stuff and become a community? And that's kind of how everything started, right? And then eventually it just went a whole other direction. It was an interesting moment when Tom Hardy's character, Johnny, talks to Benny, Austin Butler. And Austin Butler was supposed to be like this kind of wild card. You never knew what you were going to get with this guy, right? He would look calm and natural at one point, and then like that, he would lose it and like beat the crap out of you. Really, really interesting stuff. But at one point, Johnny tells Benny, I can't control this club anymore. I've lost control and I need your help. And the one thing about Benny is like he never wanted to be a leader. He never wanted to be tied down. So that's the first time that they ever experienced like a rift. And Benny's like, that's not me. And he kind of just rode off and escaped, leaving Johnny to kind of deal with the mess that's been created here. And unfortunately, that led to his eventual demise, So I felt like there were a lot of instances and possibilities. What's going on, Doreen? Nice of you to join in from France. I don't know any French. Wait, do I? Well, my name is French, René. Oh, René. Je m'appelle René. There you go. Yes, we always talk about movies here. Arthur Shelby, but with less sense in a way. Oh, that's a good comparison. I like what you just said there. Yes. But I do feel like a lot of missed opportunities here. And he could have created kind of like a gangster-like movie, very Scorsese-like telling of this group, this gang. But we only just saw snippets of it, and like I said, Jodie Comer, if it wasn't for her, I think this movie for most people would be kind of boring, but she did give a very strong performance here. Austin was, he was good for when he was on screen, but for the most part, he just doesn't really say much. And I think the same could be said about everybody else. You have such a huge cast. You have a huge ensemble of people, all good with what they do. Like, I'm a big Mike Feist fan. If you haven't seen Challengers yet, I mean, he is just so amazing in that movie. And I knew I liked him when I first saw him in West Side Story several years ago. But he is just the guy who's just sitting there holding a mic the whole time. He's just there like this. And you're just kind of wasting his time on screen. He's like, so tell me more about that guy. And he's like smiling, like, oh yeah. Yeah. And what do you think about the club now? Yeah, it was just kind of like a waste of talent. You have Michael Shannon, who's supposed to be like the guy no one knows about. He's from somewhere, and he's like this weird dude. And he shows up like at most maybe 5 minutes. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but it's like 5 minutes on screen, and that's it. But like I said, it's not a bad movie. It's not the movie I kind of wish it was. And I know that I shouldn't say that because Jeff wanted to do a certain type of movie, and this is his choice, right? And for what he gave us, it was okay. Like on Letterboxd, I haven't logged it in yet, but I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 stars. And that would be my rating for this movie. I know a lot of people like this movie more than me, but I also seen a lot of people, disliking this movie. And it's interesting that this is a movie that should have came out last year. And I think in a way it's good that it didn't, because it would have been buried underneath all the other more talked about films like Poor Things, Saltburn. This movie would have been easily forgotten. So it's interesting that it came out now so that it has a little bit of a time for people to check it out, talk about it. But other than that, it's just, it's a little disappointing. But the performances altogether were great from what we saw. Jodie Comer, of course, is the main person who, again, going into this movie, you would just never thought that Jodie would be the main lead of this movie, but she basically is. And I think not enough is said about Austin Butler's kind of rise in Hollywood right now. He is on a roll, a big roll right now in Hollywood. Think about it. In the last 2 years or 3 years, he's been in so many movies. And I'm wondering, is this another case where, the Hollywood machine is trying to shove someone down our throat when they're not ready? I don't think so, because Austin he's a very big presence. And playing Elvis, being in Dune, right? He did that, was that Commander in the Sky thing for Apple. Now he's in the Bikeriders. And you think about it, he's been in our faces for like the last 2-3 years, right? I would like to see what he's going to do from here, because he definitely has a presence. And Tom Hardy, I feel like nowadays we just don't see enough of, except if you're like watching Venom or whatever. But yeah, that's basically my review on the Bikeriders. If you're expecting Sons of Anarchy, you're not really going to get it. This is more of like a, I guess, Easy Rider like type of story movie. Scorch, let's see here. This is interesting. Okay, so you're making a list of actresses that are fit, like athletic wise. I mean, if you're gonna do that for actresses, let's do it for actors too. Let's make it equal. So I don't know, Doreen, if you're still there, but I'm assuming you had a chance to watch the Bikeriders. I'm curious what your thoughts are on the movie. Arnold loved the Mayans. Don't know what to think about the film. Scorch also loved Sons of Anarchy and Easy Rider. Okay, so let's read Scorched his list here. Naomi Watts, Kaylee Cuoco, Megan Fox, ScarJo, Lucy Liu, Jessica Alba, Mila Jovovich, Michelle Rodriguez, Liv Tyler, Cameron Diaz, who is retired now from acting, I believe, Anna Faris, Rachel McAdams, Sarah Jessica Parker, Silverman. I'm assuming you're saying Sarah Silverman, Aubrey Plaza, who's another favorite of mine, Anjo. Who's Anjo? Nicole Kidman. What is your criteria on this list? I'm just curious. I'll tell you one thing from your list here. Well, Jessica Alba has a new Netflix movie that just came out. I'm curious to check it out. Lucy Liu. She's, by the way, Queens, New York girl. Big shout out to Queens, New York, my hometown where I live. There was a time when she was on that Sherlock show, right? And they actually filmed in my neighborhood. And I knew that because I was coming home from work one day and they had like the flyers on the street saying that this street is closed between a certain time because they're filming. And they said, Sherlock. I was like, oh. And I was like, wait a minute. Are you telling me that my future wife is filming in my neighborhood? What the hell? But alas, I never got a chance to see her or meet her. So we are just ships sailing into the moonlight. Very unfortunate. Scorch's criteria is just smoking babes. Okay, that's fair. Oh, Angelina Jolie. Okay, that's fair. But to be fair, I say we should do the same list for guys, right? So if we're talking about guys, number one for me is always Idris Elba. Idris Elba is an amazing dude. If I were ever to have a man crush, he is my guy. Austin Butler, I would say I would add in there currently, right now, right? Mike Feist should be another one. Scorch, you said Brad Pitt. Who else should we include on this list? And I also find it, I give you props for also mentioning Liv Tyler. There's a lot of people who don't think Liv Tyler is attractive. I disagree. You know, having just rewatched the Lord of the Rings trilogy, she's an attractive woman. Henry Cavill, great one. Great choice. Who was it? There was a site that gave a list of the young, like the it actors of today, the young actors of today. I think I saved that article somewhere. Let me see. Is Tom Hardy good looking? I think so. I think there's a lot of women out there who probably will find him very attractive. George Clooney, I think, yeah, he's like the traditional good looking guy, right? Let's see here. Trying to find that list because this list does have a good amount of young actors today that could be included on this list. Oh, I would say, who's this? He was in Saltburn. Barry Keoghan. I believe he's dating Sydney Sweeney now, right? Or no, Carpenter. Sarah Carpenter or whatever Carpenter. I forget her name. Sabrina Carpenter, that's it. Yeah. Well, I just want to be fair, Scorch. I mean, it's one thing, you know, we could talk about anything here, but let's have equality here. Let's not make this a major sausage fest now. Pierce Brosnan. You would put him on the list, huh? Okay. Would you put Matthew McConaughey? How about Chris Hemsworth? Chris Hemsworth is another one, right? Mahershala Ali. I would put him on that list. Have I seen Connery in a Mankini? I've if it was him in a James Bond movie, then maybe I may have seen it. Other than that, no. And I probably rather wouldn't see him now. Not Bond? Okay, then I rather not then. Oh, here we go. A-list, the top 10 young movie stars taking Hollywood by storm. All right, let's look at this list. So Austin Butler, we already talked about. They're dubbing him as the Golden Boy. He's like I guess the it guy in recent. Like I said, kind of like how I mentioned, like he's been popping up a lot. So he's definitely on the forefront right now. And then Timothy Chalamet. Would you add him to that list? I feel like he gets mixed reactions all over. Jacob Elordi. I've met him in person. He is definitely good looking in person, but he is also freaking gigantically tall. Very tall. If anyone should have played Superman, he could have been a good choice. Paul Mescal. You know, and then going back to the women, you have Jenna Ortega. Right? Oh, let's not forget Glenn Powell. I feel like he's another guy that's been showing up a lot and having such a career these days. Coming up with Twister soon. Florence Pugh, who I love. I think Florence Pugh is amazing. Sydney Sweeney. Anya Taylor-Joy. I've already mentioned how I really like her. Zendaya. You know, it's funny. I never considered Zendaya to be that attractive. Just because that's not my type. And there's something about her, she's like so skinny. But when I watched her in Challengers, changed my mind. I could see that she's a very sexy individual. Jenna Ortega is too skinny. Hitman. I haven't seen Hitman yet. I have to watch that. I'm very curious how good it is. So after talking about Bikeriders, does it sound like a movie you guys would be interested in watching? I'm just curious. This is a portion of the stream where I check my phone to make sure the world's not burning. Oh, you're talking about the black and white movie on Netflix? Yeah, that was like a very sexual movie, right? With who's that? John David Washington. I'm surprised he didn't make that list. Because he's kind of an interesting guy. Very selective, I think, with roles. I don't envy his position either, because I'm pretty sure he's getting compared to his dad a lot. That was it. All the names I read, that was it was just 10 of the hot young actors, up and coming and current, according to the Hollywood Reporter. I mean, it is a list, and it does, I would agree with a lot of those people on there, but it should have been bigger, I think. Not just 10. Scorch is saying he's going to skip the movie. I don't blame you. If anything, I will say this. I would say maybe check it out on streaming. Maybe check it out on streaming when it's available. Yeah, that list could have been a little bit expanded. A little bit expanded. Mia Goth for sure. Oh my god, I love Mia Goth. I can't wait for Maxine to come out. And I remember, what movie did I watch recently that had her in it? That I didn't know she was in it. I forgot. Oh, Suspiria. If you ever watched Suspiria, I think that was one of her earlier roles. She's so good in that movie. Tiger Now Free. Hope it's okay if you play Forza, dude. You could do whatever you like, Arnold. That's totally fine. Forza's a great game. Love Forza. Yes, Scorch. Mia Goth is in Suspiria. Again, I didn't know either. I just knew Dakota was in it, and I knew, of course, Tilda Swinton is in it. But then I would say Mia Goth is probably like a third main character in that movie. Third or fourth. I've never seen the old Suspiria. I've always wanted to, but I've never seen it. I like this one. Yeah, it's directed by Luca Guadagnino, who I actually really like as a director. Is it Luca? I want to make sure I'm saying the right thing. Suspiria. Yeah, Luca Guadagnino. Luca Guadagnino. Oh, Arnold, you're good. I appreciate it, but you're good. Don't worry about it. The old one has a great soundtrack and just superior. I mean, I believe that. I know that they did a lot of different things he did a lot of different things with this version, right? And I have no reference for myself. So, but for what he did, I think I really liked it. But of course, I would love to go and watch the original, because there's just something like that is special about like the 60s, 70s era of horror movies that, yeah, it's out of this world. Yeah, but seeing Mia Goth in that movie, it was I wasn't really expecting it. Speaking of not expecting it, let's talk about this next movie that I watched yesterday. So, after the Bikeriders, there was this movie that I keep. So, if you're ever on Letterboxd, or if you follow Letterboxd, right, or you follow a lot of like film Twitter or whatever you want to call it, there's a lot of people talking about this movie, Thelma. It's a new movie that just came out also this week. What's going on, D? Hope you're doing good. Hope you're having a good day. Original Suspiria is a trilogy of sorts. Is it? I have to look into the lore of all that stuff. Also, Arnold, what do you think about Jenna Ortega as an actress? I'm starting to get worried that she's very one note. my only exposure to her was the Wednesday series, which I thought she was brilliant in. I really liked it. And then I saw her in X. And I was like, okay, kind of like the nerdy girl turned hot kind of thing. And I haven't really seen her do much of anything else, but I feel like she's very one note in a way. She's very much like an Aubrey Plaza, where she's kind of like the sarcastic, very straightforward type of person, right? You know, now she is what you call it? She's going to be in Beetlejuice, right? So I need to see more. The one person who totally like turned me off was Rachel Zegler, because I thought she was great in West Side Story, and then each role that she's done afterwards, I just find her to be too much of like the theater actress, where she's a little bit overacting. I'm just like, oh no, what's happening to you? So yeah. D, I'm glad you're having a good day. I did know that, yeah. Arnold, I didn't know that they filmed Wednesday in Romania, yeah. Starlord's in the house. What's going on, man? She went too far talking trash about Snow White. Yeah, I don't know. This is one thing that I have a problem with when it comes to like stage actors or actors, and is it actress or actors, that they need like that platform, right? I just feel like she is like the epitome of the overbearing stage actor, right? And she's the kind of person that says a lot of things without thinking. She's just kind of blurts it out. And you kind of have to take a step back and be like, know your audience, man. Know what you're doing for your career. Because the more you say stupid stuff, the more people are going to turn on you. And that's like the game, right? So, yeah, and I know some people like that. Like, I know performers and actors who are a little bit on that level. I'm just like, you need to calm down. You need to, like, you're a little bit too much for me. D, where were you 5 times? Romania? I'm hoping Beetlejuice will be good. Peter Dinklage is amazing. Peter Dinklage is amazing. To think he was in Elf. If you remember that movie Elf, he was like the creative author that came up with the ideas and that wrote the kids' book. It's so funny. It's so funny when you go back in time to see a lot of these actors and performers who like just first started. So, but yeah, but let's go back. Let's talk about Thelma. So again, seen a lot of people talking about this movie. I didn't know much about it. So I kind of went into this movie blind, right? And the premise of this movie is the main character is this 93-year-old grandmother who has a very, very close relationship with her grandson. She recently lost her husband for several years. She's dealing and learning how to live on her own, right? And she's learning to do a lot of things on her own. And she's kind of liking that freedom that she has. So one day, unfortunately, she fell victim to a scam. The typical things that you hear about in the news all the time. Phone call, hey, someone's in trouble. In order to help them out, send money here and we'll help them. So she falls victim to that, sends the money, finds out it was a scam, all of that. And then her mission is to get her money back. And she's going to do whatever it takes to try to get that money back. And it basically leads you to this roller coaster ride of a Mission Impossible-esque like movie, but with your main person being a 93-year-old grandma. It was surprisingly hilarious, very fun to watch, very, I would say, very emotional at times, because if you know anyone who you're close to that is old, getting older, and maybe they're struggling with trying to figure things out on their own, they always need help with learning about new things, new technology, you can kind of relate, and the one person that kept popping up into my mind was my mom, because my mom was actually almost fell victim to these scams twice. And she was able to stop it and call me and say, hey, is this real? And then I was able to stop her. It got to the point where even a guy was remote connecting to her computer. And I had to, cut that shit out. And I had to kind of like reformat her whole computer, make sure she canceled all her accounts. Another time I caught her on the way out, about to go to the store to buy gift cards to pay someone on the phone to help her out with her computer problems. I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, no one will ever ask you to do that. And I picked up the phone and I said, don't call here again. I hung up. So I can kind of relate to all those things because, the technology and things today are so scary for that older generation. And what was very interesting here is that she took a lot of, or at least the director here took a lot of influence from Mission Impossible, to the point where he filmed a lot of things very Mission Impossible-like as she's going through this adventure of hers. And she teams up with a friend of hers, played by Richard Roundtree, who I believe this may have been his final role. Maybe this was like the last movie he's done. They had a nice little RIP to Richard Roundtree at the end of the credits and all. But you also have Parker Posey in here, who plays the mom, the daughter of the grandma. And I thought she was great. Clark Gregg is the husband, the father of the son, of the grandson, and it was very interesting to see that the family dynamic between all four of them, because the Parker and Clark, the parents, are very overprotective. You could see how that's kind of affecting their son. And you're seeing Thelma, played by Squibb, who is probably annoyed with that or tired of all that. And that's why she tries so hard to kind of get away from that. And she tries so hard to kind of be individual, like an individual, and be on her own. So the whole time, she's like, I need to get this money back. I don't like the fact that I was scammed, and this person should not be allowed to do this to others. So I'm going to take it upon myself to track where the money is going to go and to confront whoever's doing this. And of course, Richard, Roundtree reluctantly helps out because she basically steals his scooter, and they're going around. I believe this was in California. They're like driving around California, trying to locate where this PO box is, where the money was sent. And it was a funny confrontation. Turns out that the guy behind it all was played by Malcolm McDowell, who's also elderly and going through these things. He owns like a light shop, and his grandson was helping him. So it's a really funny story. And I guess the writer and director, who is, I should mention him, Josh Margolin, based the character out of his own grandmother, because they have a little special scene at the end of the movie where they show his actual grandmother in real life saying the similar things that this grandmother in the movie would say. Looking out the window, saying like, look at those trees. How are those trees still standing? They look so old. And like literally line for line, she was saying the same thing. And you could kind of see he kind of took that influence and pretty much based the grandmother character in this movie from her. it was it was a very well done movie. Again, I love watching movies in a way that's so unexpected. What's going on, Jester? I see you there. It's just I'll catch up with the chats in a little bit. And it's just so unexpected, but I love that it was very entertaining, very funny, very emotional, very relatable. And it was just a very, very heartfelt movie at the end of it all. And you know, you can kind of see that she was able to accomplish what she wanted to accomplish, you know, feel that freedom, be individual, you know, still have that spunk in her, which is fantastic. You know, so it was just really, really well done. And, you know, I recommend that you watch this if you still have a living grandparent or even your own parents. Like, this would be like a fun movie to go watch with them, because I'm pretty sure there will be a lot of stuff there that you can relate to as a family. So I highly, highly, highly recommend this movie. It was just a lot of fun. I would give this a 4 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd. When I log it in, that's what I'm going to give it. Yeah. Let's see. Let me catch up on the chats now, guys. Sorry. But he likes the way the doors are being tight. Then they cast full-grown people in Snow White. I'm about to hit coffee. Oh, so Star-Lord got this coffee. I hope he got his caffeine fix. He also thinks that Dinklage is full of shit. Well, that's in regards to the whole Snow White thing, right? Yeah, I know what you mean. Jester, again, happy to see you here. You're talking about this? So yeah. It's exactly what Scorch said. It is a green screen. So what I did is that because I had such a huge white wall here, and I didn't want to put anything up because I am currently going to be moving. I'm going to be moving, you know, to another place soon. So I didn't want to put anything up. So what I did is that I found a frame and I got some green construction paper, and basically I put that all together. And I thought it would be a nice thing if I had like a rotating kind of image or poster, depending on the stream and depending on the topic or what's like the big news story of the week. And yeah, I feel like people dig it. So yeah, I'm moving. Not far. Not that far. Yeah. It's a weird scenario. Basically, to put it short, my mom is moving, so I'm going to be moving her, and then I'm just moving into my mom's place. Like that. So with regards to your mom getting Sam, man, it's always dirty brown. I'm not going to comment on that, but they do a lot. I was living in the same place during 9/11. Yeah. No, I've been here for well over 20 years. I would say probably I'm approaching 25 years at this point. So, yeah. Kind of a big transition, but you know, sometimes life, you got to do what you got to do. So the sad part is I haven't even started fully packing yet, and I have like 2 months to go. So if you do see me cut back on the streaming a little bit from time to time, it's more than likely it's because I'm trying my best to get ready for this move. Scorch your hand. Okay. Now that you said that, yes, you have all the rights to say that. So I'm glad that you clarify that. Because I'm not going to say that. However, if it's anything Chinese related, Filipino related, Spanish related, French related, I can say because I am parts all of that. I am a smorgasbord. I am a mutt. I can get away with a lot more than most people, I think. Everyone remembers where they were on 9/11. I would think so. it's like when you ask the older generation, do you remember where you were when the when we landed on the moon, right? Or do you remember when Kennedy was elected or assassinated? Like it's one of those moments in history that it sticks in your brain, and you can't forget where you were at that particular moment. Scorch's Anglo-Indian. Okay, there you go. So you could also talk about white people.
I'm gonna come.
Yeah, exactly. So again, Thelma, just to recap and just to close things off, Thelma again was just a big surprise. Plus, I love the runtime. It was like only an hour and 37 minutes. We don't get a lot of movies like that. And when you can make a movie like that that's entertaining, funny, and easy to watch, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And now I do know that it's not going to be for everybody. This is definitely not a movie for everybody, but I can't recommend it enough. It was just a very nice, it reminds me of that movie Jules from last year. I don't know if anyone here will say that they saw the movie Jules, but I loved the movie Jules last year because it was a different take on the whole UFO alien thing, where the focus is not really on the alien invasion or the alien that landed in this part of the United States. It's more about the community that came across this alien. And it's a senior community. And basically, it's a nice story about how when an older generation gets to a certain point where they're no longer relevant and no one wants to listen to them, to finally have a voice, to finally have a purpose, and to be able to finally get recognized for a change, not only to others, but to within their own community, and be able to team up together to help this poor alien who just wants to get back up there, right? So it was such a sweet, endearing movie. I would say that this is a movie along those same lines, and it speaks very highly on, the older generation learning to deal with their themselves aging, learning to deal with technology and nuances of today, and still trying to have that sense of individualism and freedom that they could do things on their own and not have to rely on other people. But the character here also learns that sometimes it's not bad to ask for help. And you kind of have to accept that it's going to be that way when you get to a certain point. So, and she gets reminded of that through Richard Roundtree's character, who's also very good in this movie. The performances in this movie were great. June Squibb, who I'm not too familiar with, she's done voices in other animated movies. She's done a lot of TV work, but she's really good. Richard Roundtree has always been good as an actor. Parker Posey, she's one of those that I had a major crush on her back in the day. I always thought she was a great actress. I loved her in Beau is Afraid, and it's nice to see her again now here in this movie, Thelma. I thought she plays that very neurotic character well, the overprotective mom. It was great to see Clark Gregg, outside of a Marvel property, still playing a similar type of character, but it was just really interesting to see. So, yeah. Really, really appreciated this movie. I thought it was well done. Arnold, I will probably be live for like another 20 minutes, maybe? All depending on where the conversation goes, so. Star needs to wake his tired ass up. Ask for help, damn it. Help me! I want to wake up!
Hey, I'm not your face, Nichols!
Scorch, oh, you saw Jules. Yeah, Jules is a underrated, not talked more about. Wait, what should I say? It's a movie that should be talked more. Wait, what? It's a movie that should be brought up more. That's what I meant to say. I have not had my coffee yet, so I'm kind of in the same boat as you there, Star-Lord. Scorch, we love all people. You're right. All people. Star-Lord wants longer. Well, we'll see. We'll see how the stream goes. That's what she said. Hey-oh!
I'm gonna come.
You missed it, Star-Lord, earlier. We had another interesting cat coming into the stream, letting us know about certain things on his end. So, yeah, it wasn't as bad as it was on Wednesday, which is a relief, but I was waiting. I was like, all right, what kind of a stream is this going to be? Are we going to get a lot of this now? So yeah, so we only had one ban today. So with everything I said about Thelma, does Thelma sound like a movie that you'd want to see? More so, maybe, than the Bikeriders at this point? Well, not an actual cat, Star-Lord. Like cat, like, hey, you're a cool cat. Skibbity bop, That's what I mean. Yeah, it'd be kind of weird if an actual cat started chatting in the stream, telling us how long its dong is. That'd be kind of weird. Very, very intelligent cat, though. I will say that. If that was true. On his end. Yeah, exactly. On his end. Sword is currently zombified. Zombie! Zombie!
Yeah! Fuck off!
What? Who said that? Shut up! You don't know what you're talking about.
Hey, how about you spank them, dickless?
So what is everyone looking forward to this weekend? And what is anyone watching any movies, watching any TV? We have House of the Dragon episode 2 dropping on Sunday. Episode 4 of The Boys just dropped, I think, yesterday? Right? Or 2 days ago? I don't know what else is going on in TV land. But what's everyone watching this weekend? I believe tomorrow I'm going to be heading over to my friend's house. I mentioned before multiple times that me and my friend, we started kind of this thing where we will meet up maybe twice a month, and he has like a full retro setup in his man cave in his basement, and we've been slowly going back and playing all of these old school co-op games and trying to complete them. So I'm going to be doing that tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to that because that's always a fun time. Scorch needs to catch up with House of the Dragon. Did you like the first season? Were you a fan of the first season? Oh yeah, by the way, if you are watching, you're new to the stream, make sure you hit that like button, por favor. Please. Onegashimasu. Would make this guy very happy. Arnold, House of the Dragon, 10 out of 10. Jester just started The Boys 2 weeks ago. And, oh, you mean you're just watching the series from scratch? Wow. What a journey you must be going through right now. Season 3, Episode 6. How are you thinking about the series so far, Jester? So we're still hearing a lot about the Acolyte. Finally, some people are not being silent anymore in saying they like it. They shouldn't be silent. Why be silent? Freaking internet. It's crazy. PS2 is epic for local multiplayer. Absolutely. That generation, PS2, the first Xbox, like that generation is brilliant for multiplayer stuff. Scorch said first season House of Dragon was fire. Not love it, but like it. Star-Lord saying about Acolyte. Our Lady Allison is my favorite. I like Allison's character. I like both. Honestly, I like them both. I don't know who I'm rooting for at this point. I kind of like them both. Jester loves everything about the boys. Awesome, man. That's great. I know Scorch is not very happy with the boys recently, so... But Scorch, you're not the only one, too. I've seen a lot of people kind of turning their backs on the boys at this point. So all the boys only now see, congratulations, now you are also mentally broken. The Boys is a show, man. That is like one show. And I think at this point, we talked about this before. It's the shock value, right? And how much you can tolerate. But I do like the fact that they said that there is an ending in sight. You know, after this season, the next season will be the final. So at least they know and they acknowledge that this is not something that they could sustain for much longer. So yeah, Scorch, I know you've been talking a lot about Incredible and Adam Eve. I gotta catch up on that stuff. Maybe if I have the time this weekend, I'm gonna try to see if I can catch up. Star is too desensitized. I feel like there are a lot of people who are, not just you. And in real life, not just when it comes to shows. Just watch Adam Eve. Okay. I'll keep that in mind. It's a short little prequel. Oh, OVA type? Okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with those type of especially in the anime world. Has anyone here? So this was a piece of news. You know what? We could along with the normal chat, we could probably sit here and I'll go through some of the recent headlines. Anyone here watch Tokyo Vice at all? Remember that one guy? Yeah. Yeah, I remember. You know what's really funny? Or what I find interesting is ever since me and my friend did our review on RRR 2 years ago at this point, I had an influx of really big viewership from India because they were all happy with our review about RRR. Now the downside of that is that we had so many people wanting me and forcing or wanting us to watch a lot of these Indian shows, movies, shows, because they want to hear my reaction to it. And look, I don't mind recommendations and I don't mind suggestions, but I can't just stop everything that I'm doing to watch whatever you want me to, you know, unless you're a paid subscriber or you're like a paid member or something like that, right? But I would get so many comments. And there was this one guy that with every new video that I posted, he would leave a comment saying, "You still haven't watched this movie I asked you to." And I'm like, dude, first of all, you didn't pay me to watch it. And I already have an agenda. Like, I have things that on my list I need to do. I can't, and I never promised I was going to watch it. I said, okay, I'll add this to my list and I'll see if I could watch it. And it's just like, all right, people are a little bit obsessive with that stuff. And I was just like, well, you know, they're very proud of their stuff, of their content, and they want other people to be exposed to it. I get it. So I saw The Exorcist about 162 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it. Whenever I think of The Exorcist or I see The Exorcist, I think of giant penis monster. Arnold has watched Tokyo Vice. Awesome. I'm very sad to hear that it's canceled. As of right now, that it was canceled on Max. That is, like, for me, one of, like, the great kind of true, like, crime type of limited, like, time. Blah, 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 blah. What am I trying to say? Crime type of shows out there. And maybe I'm a little biased because I love Japan, but I love this era of Japan, like 80s, 90s. I'll read this article I read recently about the chances of their doing a season 3. Maybe if another platform can pick it up. I'll read that in a little bit. 167. Got it wrong. Star-Lord. Oh, this is my favorite segment. About the news or just chill time? Oh, you saw my RRR review? Funniest thing I've seen in The Boys so far is when they parodied all the celebrities singing Imagine by... Oh my god, that was pretty funny. The one thing about The Boys that I appreciate is that they're not afraid to kind of parody all the stuff that's happening today. That's why this season is very political driven. And I think for some people, they kind of want to get away from that because that is real life. So why watch a show that's parodying all that stuff? You know, it's kind of like, I want to get away from all this stuff. Let me just watch Star Wars. Oh my god, we have lesbian moms. The world's coming to an end. So yeah, so let me read this article about Tokyo Vice. Because, again, this is one of the shows that I really, really enjoy. And I was really bummed out when I heard that it was being canceled by Max. So last weekend came the news that Max had canceled its acclaimed Japan-set crime drama series, Tokyo Vice. The cancellation followed the series' 2-season run, with the second season scoring 2 extra episodes to wrap up storylines. Though the recent season finale serves as a perfectly functional series ender, there are threads that can be continued in further seasons. I agree. At least, in the very least, season 2 didn't finish with like a cliffhanger, because that would have been a huge bummer. Because there's been other shows that have been canceled when their season ended with something left unanswered or something just lingering, right? So at least they didn't do that. Series creator and executive producer J.T. Rogers, along with director and executive producer Alan Pohl, said last week they had hoped to produce more and had more stories to tell. Now, in the days following that announcement, the pair have spoken with Variety and say the decision to do more episodes comes down to production company and distributor Fifth Season, who partnered with Max on the project. Pohl says it's worth remembering that Fifth Season sells the show internationally. Max exists in North America, most of South America, and a few European territories. And the rest of the world is sold by our friends at Fifth Season. And they've sold very well. It's been a global hit. So we look to our partners. We haven't even really put our heads together yet because this is all very new. But there are many territories in Europe and Asia and Africa and Australia that still want the show, and we have to see how our partners' Fifth Season are going to prepare to respond to them. Though they don't have any new information regarding specific deals, they say they intend to keep building their worlds and stories in the hopes of moving forward. Pohl adds that we don't accept the condolences yet. So at least there's a little bit of light, possibly, and hope that this series could eventually return. But at least the 2 seasons we got were fantastic, in my opinion. Jester and Huey having to get the guy's hand to get out of Void Tower in season 2 finale. Oh my god, that was nuts, yeah. Scorch, are you really currently painting? Are you using Thor's elongated tool?
I'm gonna come.
That guy. What an interesting guy. You know what I'm saying? Interesting guy. Jester, Netflix needs to stop canceling the shows people like after one season. I agree. And it's not just Netflix now. I feel like Max is doing it. Amazon does it sometimes. The problem with Netflix is that they put so much money into their stuff that if one season doesn't work, they're very quick to pull the plug. When I say doesn't work, meaning even though there's huge viewership, it doesn't have that financial return, and that's unfortunate. You know, so I'm hoping they could eventually adjust their model so that it doesn't leave a lot of these series kind of left into the void. Keep in mind, Africa just got high-speed internet. Wasn't there an article somewhere that said that there was a tribe in Africa that was given access to the Starlink internet? Is that the same thing you're referring to, Star-Lord? Because now they're like all over the internet right now. They can't stop looking at stuff. They're probably on Pornhub. Yeah, Starlink. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. They were introduced to the internet, and they were introduced to Pornhub and OnlyFans. The world will never be the same. Oh, is that a hoax? Is that not true? That's too bad. That would have been hilarious if it was, though. It was misinformation. Ah, oh, damn it. Oh, well. I have a friend who actually, when I first met him, we worked at this company together. Oh, the porn was misinformation. Okay. Eventually, I guarantee you, they're gonna find it, and then it's game over. Game over.
You blew it!
What was I talking about? I think I was saying something. I forgot. It's hot here, guys. What's the current temperature right now? 93 degrees. Oh my God. Lord. I'm melting. Game over, man. Game over. WTF. For those of you who don't know the Fahrenheit, sorry, I have to make sure that I share information equally. So Fahrenheit to Celsius. So for everyone outside of the US, the current temperature now in New York is 33.8 degrees Celsius. Oh my God. What just happened? 26. I would love that. I would love that right now. Well, maybe not so much. Maybe if it was like 23. But it's definitely better than what we got now. How's Forza? Arnold, what are you doing a specific challenge, or are you trying to get some achievements? What are you currently doing in Forza? Star-Lord, aren't you playing Forza 2 recently? Yesterday there was a film on Disney Plus called Crater, and Disney just deleted it off of Disney Plus. Did they say why? Starlord, you're not playing Forza? I thought you were. If I'm quiet right now, I'm just looking for interesting movie news right now. I think on the news front, it's been kind of quiet, honestly. Nothing really big standing out. Unless you're Thor, then you have something really big standing out. Just saying. Thor is playing Prawn. Okay, good. It's multiplayer. Awesome. Yes, sir. It just didn't perform well. Yeah, this whole I mean, a lot of these platforms are still trying to figure out streaming. I know server costs suck and all, but there has to be a way where you don't always have to like remove stuff. Finished 1972 Ford GT, turned now watching the new Jessica Alba film. Okay. I'm going to try to, so when is my next, so let's see. Let's look at the release calendar so that I know what is on the docket for me for the upcoming weeks, because July is going to be a very busy movie month. There's going to be a lot of major things coming out in July. I think we've already kind of established that before. So in July, so this upcoming week, I don't want to say much. Jester, you have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you for swinging by. Hope to see you again soon. Next week, we have A Quiet Place Day 1 coming out. There's a potential that I may be able to attend the New York premiere on Wednesday. So fingers crossed I can. I'll be able to talk about that movie on Friday. But that is my next week, right? So you have that coming out. You have Despicable Me 4 coming out. You have Beverly Hills Cop, the new one coming out on Netflix, right? Maxine comes out on July 5th. Let's see. Sing Sing, which is a very interesting looking movie with Coleman Domingo, coming out July 12th. Long Legs, July 12th. My Spy. Have you guys seen that trailer for My Spy? The new Dave Bautista movie for Amazon. Look, I like Dave Bautista, but this movie looks terrible. And why are they still trying to make Sofia Boutella a leading actress? I don't know. I'll never understand. But she's in this movie. Pom Klementieff is also in this movie. Right? It doesn't look good. But you have Twisters and then Deadpool and Wolverine coming out. So I'm very, very curious how these movies in July will turn out to be. But the moment I have like a free week, or at least more free time, I want to watch all the recent Netflix movies. So you got Hitman. Now you got the new Jessica Alba movie that I was curious about. And Beverly Hills Cop. So I'm very, very curious to see how these movies turned out. Did you see what he did with his face? Are you talking about Dave Bautista? Starlight, yeah, you could do all of that on X. Especially since they've hidden all the likes. Well, they didn't hide the likes. They just hid who can see who liked what. Yeah, Dave Bautista looks kind of weird now. I don't know what's going on. Is he having like a midlife crisis? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with him. But I like him as an actor. I think he has the potential to have good range. I want to see him do more dramatic stuff. Like I always liked his small role in Blade Runner 2049. And I thought he was really good at Knock at the Cabin, honestly. I don't think so. Meaning potential midlife crisis for Dave Bautista. Oh, this is interesting. Here, let's read about this. So, for you horror fans out there, I don't know if you were aware, or maybe you were, that A24 had a deal with Paramount to do kind of like a brand new Friday the 13th series. They were calling it Crystal Lake. I think Brian Fuller, who was responsible for the show Hannibal, was attached to it. And then everything all of a sudden fell apart. So here's an article that's kind of recapping some of the stuff that happened about Crystal Lake. Because, again, A24, I feel like that's like a perfect company to team up to kind of do something like this. Bring something back, and give a new spin on something from back in the day. Last month came word that Hannibal creator Brian Fuller was abruptly exiting the Friday the 13th prequel series called Crystal Lake, which was in the works for the streaming service Peacock. Oh, it's Peacock, not Paramount, sorry. At the time, it was indicated that A24 was retooling the project behind the scenes, with the studio going a different way with the material, according to Fuller, who was to serve as writer, showrunner, and executive producer. Jim Danger Gray, who was to be co-showrunner, also exited. Now a new report at the Wrap has gone into the behind-the-scenes events that led to Fuller's exit, and in the process revealed more details about his vision for the show, which is now stuck in development hell. Now, another thing that also got me excited about this as well was that I loved Hannibal. Hannibal was one of those shows that I was not even like putting a lot of focus on or spending much time thinking about until it was recommended to me. It was recommended to me by a girl I dated several years ago, and I got hooked. I was like, wow, this is such a really well done show. So thinking he could bring that kind of writing to Friday the 13th kind of series sounded really intriguing to me. So I found all of this stuff very baffling. So Charlize Theron, who was part of the, I believe, the production company that was or being looked at, was reportedly being eyed to play Pamela Voorhees, that's Jason's mom, in this series, which had already made a deposit for sound stages in Canada, with crew beginning to make plans for a 7th-month shoot. Then 3 months out from filming, A24 abruptly fired Fuller and Gray, halting development. The reasoning was being put down to a show plagued by inexperienced production executives making questionable decisions, problems with the show's writing staff, and conflicts between showrunners and executives. Well, it sounds like a major shit show. As one insider put it, it felt like everybody on the Brian Jim side were trying very hard to make the show. A24 felt like they were doing everything they could to not make the show. It's doubly strange as A24, which has been trying to do more commercial projects, was key to untangling the messy legal rights surrounding the franchise, which is another reason why we haven't really seen any new Friday the 13th stuff, because there is that weird licensing thing going on with that property. Damn it, everything is becoming a series. I'm thinking it's worse than reboots. Friday the 13th is a movie, not a TV show. Well, I'll always say this. If done correctly, anything could be made into a TV show, but it has to be done in a certain way that warrants it. That's just my take on it. Each season was to be a deconstruction of the first 4 films and would incorporate lore from several sequels but remix the material, just like Fuller did with Hannibal. One source says, we had The Mask, we had the sequels, we could do whatever we wanted. He had a good path forward. Scream creator Kevin Williamson wrote an episode for the series described as the show's Red Wedding episode and was to unfold entirely on a frozen lake. The series was intended to have 8 episodes per season, budgeted at around $85 million for the entire season, but one source indicated A24 wanted to cut that in half. Well, that's also because A24 doesn't like spending a lot of money on productions. They're kind of like Blumhouse, but several steps above Blumhouse. Blumhouse has like a strict, low budget, probably $10 million maximum budget like that. A24 is apparently still committed to making the show, although it's unclear if the studio will use the original Fuller scripts or start from scratch. So that's pretty much a recap of everything there. So I don't know. I could already see, like, for example, I know Star-Lord probably wouldn't want this as a TV show, but just by hearing about it, does it sound like a Crystal Lake TV series would have been appealing to some of you? I'm just curious. Arnold saying Jessica Alba is so good in the movie. Well, that's good to hear. That's refreshing. I never thought she was a bad actress. She's an amazing entrepreneur, I'll say that. I love the fact that she was able to jumpstart her own business and not have to rely on acting. It's only done as a correct TV show, not a correct movie. Well, I do question, now that I've read the article and now that I hear that in the show itself, it looks like they were going to readjust some of the lore and canon from the movies and kind of pick and choose what they wanted to include and what they wanted to elaborate on. I have a feeling that would have ended up pissing off a lot of people. all people talk about is, I wonder if it will get better in the next episode. Unfortunately, there are a lot of shows that do suffer from that. Rings of Power is a good one. Good example of it. And, you know, to be fair, Rings of Power did get better with the later episodes, but that's just sucks because you shouldn't have to. If you like a show, if a show is good, it should be good from episode 1 or episode 2, right? It shouldn't. It should never be the case. Well, give it 4 episodes, and it gets better in the 5th episode. It's like, why do I have to go through 4 episodes if I'm not liking it in order for something to be better? Even our criticism is strained, like poor. Yo, Starlord is on a kick today, yo. Is that coffee kicking in or no? By the way, reminder, hit that like button. Please. For every like button you hit, and Angels and Starlord get its wings. Get their wings. Get some wings. Wings. I'm hungry. I want some wings. Arnold, fire up the barbecue. Let's make some wings. Evangeline Lilly, Christina Applegate, and Rachel Green should have been included on your list. I agree. She conveys the emotion and this pain really well. I would be interested to know if she does the stunts herself. You're making this movie sound really interesting, Arnold. It sounds really good so far. Uh-oh. Scorch, do you have something against Jessica Alba? Hot coffee is good. I couldn't even imagine drinking hot coffee right now. It's too freaking hot here. Too hot. I would have to make coffee and dump some ice cubes in it. Arnold, appreciate the invite. Maybe if I find myself in Germany one day, I will take you up on that. No, I'm just, yeah, I mean, Jessica Alba. Jessica Alba.
I'm gonna come.
Hey, relax. Be nice.
You blew it!
You think it's good that it's on Netflix? I have a feeling if you're liking it as much as you're liking it now, that will end up becoming a big streaming movie for Netflix this weekend. I did see one brief headline review of it, and they said that her performance is great. But they said the rest of the movie was just very textbook in a way. I had the pleasure of meeting Penelope Cruz last year at the New York Film Festival for Ferrari. Very attractive lady in person. Selma Hayek doesn't age. I feel like she's stuck in time. You wish this can last for another 2 hours? You're coffee drinking or you're edging or me?
You blew it!
Where's Thor? I'm gonna unban him. Come on, Thor, come back. Oh man. Lord of mercy. Lord of mercy.
Wow.
You missed two. Starlight, I'm curious. So who do you watch? Like what channels do you watch? Which live streams do you usually find yourself watching? We were talking earlier about YouTube channels, like who I watch, who people watch. Scorched and Arnold has said nothing but the greatest things about me, and I totally appreciate. But I mentioned that I don't really watch a lot of YouTubers, and I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. Just waiting for Starler to answer. Answer me, damn it. Imagine I was like that. I asked you a fucking question. Why don't you answer me? That's it, you're banned. Out of here. Gone. By the way, who's looking forward to Megalopolis? I am. I was very happy to announce that. No, I didn't announce it. What the hell am I talking about? I was very happy to hear that it was announced that it was picked up by Lionsgate and it's going to get released in September. After much speculation over its fate. Megalopolis is officially headed to North American movie theaters. Lionsgate has picked up the Francis Ford Coppola feature and is planning a September 27, 2024 release. I can't wait. Even if it ends up becoming like a major shit show of a movie, I don't care. I need to see this movie. It looks very, very interesting to me. I'm just really fascinated about it. Real Rejects, Mystery Science Theater, sometimes Q&A with Doug Walker, but don't really like that one too much. Fat Man Beyond with Kevin and Mark. I've always been a major Kevin Smith fan. I don't know if I told this story on stream before, but one of the times I've met Kevin Smith, I had one of those action figures of Silent Bob. I think it was the action figure of him as who did he play? Blunt Man or Chronic? I forget which one, but I had him sign it, and Kevin put on the signature, "Play with me," and he signed it Kevin Smith. I thought it was really funny. The funny part of that story was like when another time that I met up with him was. I was with a group of friends, and this was when he was writing for Daredevil. And, you know, I thought Daredevil was an interesting run. I actually really liked it. But my friend was wondering why he chose Mysterio as like the main villain. So he walked up to Kevin Smith. He's like, "Hey, Kevin, nice to meet you. By the way, I just have to ask, Mysterio? Why Mysterio?" And Kevin was kind of like surprised by the question. He's like, "Oh, I just like the guy." And he's like, all right. I don't like that super chats get all the attention just because they donate. Yeah, I understand that. Like, I feel like that's one reason why, you know, when people tell me or they ask me, it's like, do you want to blow up on YouTube? Do you want to have like a massive channel? Of course I do. Do I want to get the support? Absolutely. But I don't want to have to resort myself to just reading chats donated or super chats only. Like, I always want to be able to engage with the entire audience, you know? But I see some of these chats and they're just like, brr, 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 like that. And the only way they can actually ever communicate with the audience is just singling out all the super chats, right? So I kind of understand, but I just never want to be, I never want to do that. The whole Q&A matters for people who pay. So it's really the money asking the questions. Yeah. I mean, I've seen streams where people are super chatting and donating and they don't even get answered. They don't even address them. And I think that's full of shit. That's not cool. Yeah, you could slow down the chat, but the chat will be so not in sync with the streamer, you know? But I don't know. I don't have to worry about that right now at this point because I'm nowhere near that level. As of right now, I still enjoy paying attention to everybody as much as I can. With the exception of Thor. That guy blew it. Literally.
You blew it!
I'm gonna come.
Yeah, slow motion mode, but for thousands of people in chat. Let me ask you all a question. Those of you who are still here with me. What is an ideal number of people to watch a live stream? Where you feel like everyone gets equal amount of attention and engagement. Who is this Thor? He's like the one guy I banned this morning who came in letting us know that he's been edging and releasing and that he's packing a 6-footer. So he's literally John Dillerman. He is the living embodiment of John Dillerman. His 6-footer is sentient and was doing all the chatting for him. Arnold, I think, is in love, everybody. He is in love with Jessica Alba. This movie is hitting him in all the right places. Let's go. Forget I asked. You did ask. And I obliged. And I answered your question. All right, everyone new joining in, don't forget, if you want good karma, hit that like button. Good karma will come your way this weekend. I promise you that. I'll send good vibes. $20K would be ideal if you're doing it as a career. Live stream doesn't matter how many. I can now forgive her with Fantastic Four. I think I like Fantastic Four only because it's so silly. I don't mind those movies, honestly. It's not great, but I don't mind them. She looked great in it, though. She's not bad as a blonde. Or even if I was gaming and needed some help solving puzzles and so on TTS. Yeah. I have TTS enabled now, but outside of the Stream Elements bot that keeps promoting it, I try not to push it. Because if I don't mention it and someone happens to donate the right amount, it'll be kind of funny just to have it pop out of nowhere. But at the same time, you also don't want to be inundated with all those things too. Like I remember one of the channels I watched when they did one of their live iterations, they had the TTS on, and every freaking minute it kept popping up. It kept interrupting the conversations, and I hated that. Bro, what the? Only now I see that. Oh, you didn't know that a new Beverly Hills Cop was coming out? Oh, yeah, man. Yes, sir. Axel Foley. Or Axel F, as in... Fart. Thousands of people I treat more like an event or movie watch-alongs, or in the case of FMB, the Cantina. Yeah, the Cantina, yeah. Are they still doing that show from Scum and Villainy in California? Scorch, I'd set the TTS to $100, chat reads. That's pretty high. Hard sometimes. I remember I was in California the weekend that place first opened, and I was invited to the opening. Then I got hit with the flu, and I couldn't make it. I was in such in bad shape, I couldn't even move. I had a high fever, so I was really bummed out. I couldn't make it to the opening. Really bummed out. I even brought like a Han Solo like outfit so I could kind of look like I'm a smuggler just walking into a cantina, and I couldn't go. It sucked. Did I actually slow down a bit with that podcast? Well, you know, because Kevin, he's going through some shit right now. Do you think the end of House of the Dragons will be like in the books? I don't know. I never read the books, Arnold. I wouldn't know. Yeah, the only thing like Game of Thrones that I know is really basically just from watching the show. Your dream would be to see Balerion once. That would be nice. Knowing of what I know, I could imagine how nice it would be. They're coming out with so many spin-offs for Game of Thrones. They're currently filming one now. What was it? I was just reading it. Hold on. You just saw me having like a mental breakdown as I'm trying to remember stuff. All right. Let's see. I think it's good that I just checked this website because I'm seeing a lot of news that I missed. That is crazy. By the way, R.I.P. to the great Donald Sutherland, who passed away yesterday. What an amazing actor. Definitely leaves a great legacy. Let's see here. Yeah, there's that boat one. I heard about that. I also heard about the one that they're currently filming. I saw like an image drop. Let me see. I still need to watch Shogun. Man, I'm so behind on TV. It sucks. It really sucks. Arnold, the biggest dragon ever. This is the skull that pops up every now and then. Oh, right. Balerion's skull, right? I know exactly what you're talking about. What era was that, Arnold? Can you remind us? Let's see here. I am on THR now. By the way, did you guys hear the news about Amandla Stedberg releasing a song clapping back at all the backlash from the Acolyte? I think that's the first time that has ever been done. Ever. Let's see here. You know, it's interesting. Sometimes I see news, and then when I try to look for it, sometimes it just doesn't show up. I wonder, am I just imagining things? Is my mind messed up? Is it too hot that it's melting away? What's happening? What's going? Oh, here we go. Found it. Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Here we go. Let me share this right here. Night of the Seven Kingdoms reveals first look photo, starts filming in Thrones location. HBO's Game of Thrones prequel series has started filming in Belfast and adds several actors and director. And this is the first photo from said filming. There you go. Above is the first image of Peter Claffey as Sir Duncan the Tall in the series. The photo arrives as A Night of Seven Kingdoms begins shooting its debut season in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Now, isn't he the ancestor to the, what's her name? The tall lady? I forgot her name. Maybe this article will say so. The move returns the franchise to the same production hub as Game of Thrones, while the franchise's other prequel series, House of Dragon, has shot outside London for its first 2 seasons. In addition, the project has added several new actors: Finn Bennett from True Detective as Aeron Targaryen, Bertie Carvel from Dr. Foster as Baelor Targaryen, and Tanzin Crawford, Tiny Beautiful Things, as Tansel, Daniel Ings, the gentleman, as Sir Lionel Baratheon, and Sam Spruill from Fargo as Maker Targaryen. Also, Sarah Adina Smith has joined the production to direct 3 of the season 6 episodes. Previously announced, the director and executive producer Owen Harris will also direct 3 episodes. The show's official description: a century before the events of Game of Thrones, 2 unlikely heroes wandered Westeros. A young, naive, but courageous knight, Sir Duncan the Tall, and his diminutive squire, Egg. Duncan and Egg. The story and history of Duncan and Egg. Set in an age when the Targaryen line still holds the Iron Throne, and the memory of the last dragon has not yet passed from living memory, great destinies, powerful foes, and dangerous exploits all await those improbable and incomparable friends. So there you go. That's one of several of the Game of Thrones prequels that are currently happening. Arnold, are you excited for that? Star-Lord. Not often they stream. Might be waiting for major movie news. Yeah, I also just think Kevin is trying to cut back on that stuff. You would like to know what they say? Okay. We'll see how it will be. It'll be interesting. I mean, I think a lot of people were kind of wondering if this House of the Dragon would work. And so far, I'm liking everything I've seen so far. So, again, it always boils down to what I said before. If written and done right, it could be a good show. Any show can be. It's all about the writing. All right, let's again, this is normally something I would have covered on Wednesday, but this is so new. I kind of just want to talk about this right now because this is an interesting thing, and I've never seen this happen before. Because we all know Amandla is very talented. She can not only act, but she sings, she dances, she plays instruments. One of the coolest things I've seen her do is that she, on the violin, was playing Star Wars music, which was very beautiful. I thought it was really, really great. So here we go. Acolyte star Amandla Stedberg released a song responding to fan backlash. The Star Wars has posted an original music video in reaction to haters flooding me with intolerable racism. In what's likely an industry first, a TV show star has written and released a song and music video complete with dance moves in response to racist backlash against the show. Disney Plus's The Acolyte actress Amandla Stedberg posted the track on Instagram on Wednesday and captioned the post, "Happy Juneteenth." And to those who are flooding me with intolerable racism, since it took me 72 hours on my laptop to make this song and video, you got 72 hours to respond, and I expect choreo. Before we get to the song's lyrics, here's some context for those who haven't been following the Acolyte uproar. The latest Disney Plus show is from Leslie Headland, the first openly queer person to helm live-action Star Wars project. The show stars Stedberg in a dual lead role as identical twins Osha and May and Isaiah in a story set 100 years before The Phantom Menace. The project earned positive reviews from critics out of the gate, with an 85% positive score on Rotten Tomatoes. Since its June 4th release, however, there have been allegations of review bombing, as its audience score was plummeted to only 14%, lower than the infamous Star Wars Holiday Special, which is absurd, in my opinion. Absurd. There has been some earnest debate among fans over things like canon consistency issues, but last week the show's backlash reached an intense level after the third episode introduced a coven of characters that have been described, wrongly, says Headland, as lesbian space witches. There was also uproar over Headland giving a playful answer to a junket question where a reporter asked whether the Acolyte was, quote, the gayest Star Wars. In addition, a 2018 quote from Stedberg regarding her film, The Hate You Give, has been taken inaccurately out of context. Stedberg told The Daily Show host Trevor Noah that white people crying actually was the goal of the film, but the quotes have been mischaracterized in some conservative circles as if Stedberg was talking about the Acolyte. Stedberg's song lyrics directly address the white people crying quote, and also, for that matter, media outlets that have tried to capitalize on the debate in shallow ways. Sang Stedberg, and I'm not going to sing this, because I don't even know what tune this is going to be on, so I apologize. I'm going viral on Twitter again. Open up the news to find some interesting things. 20 million views. Interview from 2018. With Trevor, the King, when I was a teen. I was running from city to city to speak on a story. You know the one, police murdering a black boy. My people cried in theaters finding release. White people cried they could see us as human beings. Trevor asked what I want the people to know. I say white people crying was the goal. If they could take one thing, what would it be? I say empathy. Oh, that's why they mad at me. They spice lines, make hate they recognize, make it look like same propaganda they spew, because they conflate our pain with violence and try to weaponize everything that we do. The desperation of oppressors is rising, and now they're holding on to any of things they can use. If you rely upon misinformation, that tells me you're afraid of the truth. And then the chorus, we so bored, don't fuck with yo discos. Oh, we're still going on here. All right, new verse. And now, you listening, I'ma tell you something fascinating. They spinning woke bastardize it and appropriate it. Last I recall, woke was something we created. Speak truth to power, keep an eye out for you, silly racist. And now they use it to describe anything they threaten by. Remember when Gambino put it in the zeitgeist? It's all about the people recognizing bigotry, the power of community. Not fodder for your clickbait. Speaking of which, journalists, I'm looking at you. Did you forget it's your job to provide the truth? Spreading divisiveness, mining the metrics and date. Seem you gave up all your ethics for money and views, and I can tell that the people are tired, and the kids don't trust anything that they view. You can learn something from their discernment. The future is coming, and it's always the youth. And we're still going on, people. All right, here's another set. My sis said, don't let it get down my spirit. I'm sick and fucking tired of suppressing my rage. 400 years of taking their bullshit to compartmentalize, sorry, like my ancestors had to change, encage. If you don't confront the pain that you live with, it'll manifest as addiction, disease, and hate. I've seen the infection repressing can give you. I'm not going to be the next one sent to an early grave. And that's the song. Headline also addressed some of the reaction in a more traditional manner in an interview. Honestly, I feel sad that people would think that if something were gay, that would be bad, Headland said. It makes me feel sad that a bunch of people on the internet would somehow dismantle what I consider to be the most important piece of art that I've ever made. So there you go. That is the song. I will not play it here because it may be copyright and I don't want to get struck. What say you all? This is what I'll say. And let me just quickly catch up on the chats first. Arnold, I think it's good that there aren't that many sex scenes. They've already exaggerated a bit in Game of Thrones. That is true. That is very true. I agree with that. I totally agree about lightsaber, blah, blah, blah. Review bombing, so petty. I agree. Woke has been around since the mid-20th century. The phrase originated from African-American vernacular English, but has been gradually co-opted by right-wing players to be used as an insult. That's with a lot of things too, right? I think we could all agree to that. That just always seems to happen. Look, I'll say this. This is my take on this. I give her a lot of credit for putting herself out there and for clapping back at these people, at the haters, the racists, you know, every. The only thing I will say is that you're feeding into it. You're feeding more into it, and maybe that's what she wants to do. If she wants to poke the bear, then that's her prerogative. For me, the best course to take whenever you come across this stuff is to just keep doing what you're doing and just don't listen. You know, people will always have something bad to say, no matter what. But if you just keep your head strong and just keep doing what you keep doing and what you feel is right to do, then just keep doing it. The minute you start engaging, that's when it gets worse, right? Now, I'm sure they're going to say a lot about why she's singing the song about this, why she's doing a music video. You're giving them more fuel for their hatred towards you and all that. And if that's her prerogative, oh, I'm sorry, I should say them. Sorry. Towards, you know, whatever they do. And if that's their prerogative, that's fine. They could do whatever they want. It's just I would have handled it a little differently. But I do give them credit for doing what they are doing. So, Arnold, I'm a big music fan, but I'm not a fan when it ends up being too political. I'm exactly like you. Although I will say this, I was a big fan of Rage Against the Machine, and that was strictly politically driven. But you can't deny that the riffs are amazing with their songs. I just hate the fact that we have to be at this point. Can we just agree to that? Like, why does there have to be crap like this? Why does there have to be a need to create a song to clap back at these morons who have nothing better to do but to review bomb a show because they don't like that there's two women who gave birth to a forced baby, or because the lead actor is African American or black? Like, who cares? If you're gonna hate something, hate it because, you know what, this show just sucks, story sucks, or whatever. If that's the case, whatever. I try not to get so political on this show, but when things like this happen, it's very frustrating. Very frustrating. Yeah. Like I say, kudos to them. They thought there was a need to do that, and they did it. You know, hopefully it could, allow people to hear more about what may be happening out there. But it's all of it is just, all of it's just a lot of crap, man. It just sucks. You know what I'm saying? All right, one last look. Oh, why did I close this out? Sorry. One last look at some headlines that I may have missed before I call it a day. Because it is already 3:30 p.m. here, and I do have some things I need to do. But let's see here. There was one piece of news that totally stood out to me. And I was like, by the way, how about Jonathan Majors being cast in a new movie? I'm wondering how the reception for that was going to be like. Apparently he's cast in this new lead in this new movie called Merciless. So I wonder how that's going to turn out. Bro, we all have different skin color, different religions, different background as far as the culture is concerned. But at the end of the day, we are all equal and have the same heart. We're people, right? At the end of the day, we're just people. That's all it is. It became increasingly connected to matters beyond race, such as gender and identities perceived as marginalized. Oh, that's continuing the whole, I guess, origin of woke, right? So here, Marvel's Blade. As if this thing hasn't had enough problems. Marvel's Blade was almost 1920s set. What?
Wow.
5 years after Oscar winner Mahershala Ali was officially announced as starring in Marvel Studios' Blade, the vampire thriller remained stuck in limbo. Most recently, the news came that the film had lost its second director, Jan Demange, who was handpicked by Ali and has been attached since late 2022. Now, a new feature report at THR has examined the film's long development process and the various issues that have arisen because of it. According to the trade, everyone has grown increasingly frustrated by the delays. This is especially true of Ali, who seems to be sticking by the project because he has exercised an inordinate amount of influence over the project, in a way few other actors have on Marvel movies. Part of the reason much of the cast, like Delroy Lindo and Aaron Pierre, have exited is due to the delays, with one agent saying people have missed about 3 windows to shoot other movies or shows, thus being where the project was costing them work. Writers are also coming and going, with Nick Pizzolatto, wow, I think I just butchered that name, Pizzolatto, hired in May last year, Michael Green coming on board in November, and Eric Pearson jumping on after Demange left. Part of the reason, beyond obvious causes like the pandemic early on and the strikes more recently, is that the film was also a victim of Marvel's pivot to streaming and subsequent backpedaling and slowing down of its production slate. That's partly why the story of the film has shifted. The version that was to shoot last year was set in the 1920s. And whoa, wait a minute. And had Mia Goth as a vampire villain named Lilith, who wanted the blood of Blade's daughter. What? Mia Goth was going to be in this? What the hell? An earlier version under the film's first director saw a major train set built for the film but never used. Either way, the current incarnation of the project is said to be set in the present day. Marvel has no plans to rush into production despite the money spent so far. How much is not known. For now, the plan is for Pearson to work on the script over the summer before the new director is hired. Man. Okay, first of all, I have no problem with it being set in 1920s. Again, if the story warrants it, that's fine. Right? Mia Goth in it as a vampire villain? I think that would have been pretty awesome. However, I don't know this thing about Blade's daughter. I feel like why would he have a daughter now? When this is going to be like our reintroduction to the character after Wesley Snipes. And like what Starlord just said, it seems like everyone has a daughter. You know, this new Beverly Hills Cop movie, Axel Foley has a daughter, right? In Bad Boys, right? It deals with the daughter and the husband of the daughter. So I don't know about that, but Mia Goth just being part of the project sounded like that would have been awesome. And then they could have easily tied in a thing where at the end of the movie, you could see fast forward Blade now in present time because he's a vampire, right? He's part vampire, so he doesn't age. Like they could have easily have made that transition. But there was another treatment of the story I heard that where it was all women. And I don't know if this is the same thing or the same storyline here, but I heard it was at the point where Blade was maybe third or fourth character. Like it was really going to focus on maybe Blade's daughter and Mia Goth. Now that would have been weird. Why would you have a Blade movie and he's not your main character? That doesn't make sense. So I think at the end of the day, this just shows that this whole project has been a major shitstorm. And I don't know if they're ever going to figure it out. Yeah, Mahershala says right now that he's going to stick to it, but if you keep missing your opportunities to be in other things, that's your money, man. That's your career. I don't think apart from Thor, he wasn't a man. No, Thor was something.
You blew it!
It was definitely something. Basically, it's always the same thing they do for female empowerment and passing the torch, looking at you, Ghostbusters. Yeah, to a certain point. Especially if you have a chance to look at Frozen Empire. You can kind of see that a little bit. I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy, y'all. It's crazy. All right, y'all. I think this is where I'm going to call it. It's been a wonderful afternoon spending with all of you here, as always, on this beautiful Friday. I thank you all for tuning in. Let us all keep our prayers with JT. Hopefully his career won't get ruined after his arrest this past week. I hope you all have a chance to watch something cool, play something cool. Arnold, you're going to have an amazing barbecue tomorrow. I hope it's fantastic. I don't know if I'll be streaming on Sunday, Arnold. If anything, more than likely I'll be streaming on Monday. So that may be the next day I'm going to stream. So on Monday, I'll be streaming and I'll talk about House of the Dragon Episode 2. We'll talk about the box office from the weekend and anything that I may have a chance to watch. So definitely would love to see you there. Star-Lord, just waiting for Jason Voorhees to have a daughter or a young mother who kills people. That may be the next series we're going to get. And it's going to star Charlize Theron, maybe. But Star-Lord, always a pleasure. Scorched, awesome to have you here. Jester, great to have him stop by. Let's see, just making sure I don't miss anyone else. Thor, if you're out there.
Fuck off!
Doreen, who briefly showed up for the movie discussion, and I have a feeling probably left because we were talking about hot women and making lists. So I do apologize for that. Def, hope you have an amazing time, an amazing one. I would love to have a piece of that barbecue. I'm sure it would be amazing. But if anything, I would love to see pictures. Clone Wars for life. Oh no, I'm just about to leave. You just missed out. But thank you for saying hi anyway. I will hopefully see you again come Monday if I'm not streaming over the weekend. But I'm going to head on out now for guys. I'm going to head on out now, guys. That's what I meant to say. But Clone Wars, I hope you had an amazing week. I hope you continue having an amazing Friday. I'm sorry. I've already been streaming for more than 3 hours. I have things I need to do. But I hope to catch you again next time. And you gave me a like. Appreciate it. Totally appreciate it. And again, for anyone else who's still here, would appreciate the like if you have forgotten to do so. So, peace out, y'all. Stay cool, stay class, stay safe. I will catch all of you guys next time. Bye, everybody.